We want peace, not war.
যুদ্ধ নয়, শান্তি চাই। শান্তিতে মোরা বাঁচতে চাই।
Today's presentation is on theories of peace building, an important topic in peace studies, presented by Feel for Philosophy.
Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we often think that when the fighting stops, a war is over. But what happens after the cameras leave a war zone? That's when the real work, the really hard work, of building a lasting peace begins. And today, we're going to dive into the surprisingly messy and complicated world of peace building to figure out why it is so incredibly difficult to get right.
So let's start with the most basic question of all. What does it actually mean to build peace? It sounds so simple, right? But as we're about to find out, the answer to this one question has basically split the entire field into competing, sometimes warring camps. It's not just about stopping the shooting, it's about what you decide to build in its place. And it all starts right here. See, before you can even begin to build peace, everyone has to agree on what peace even is. And it turns out there are two fundamentally different answers to that question, and they lead you down two completely different roads. Okay, so this slide just nails the core debate, a really brilliant distinction made by sociologist Johan Galtung. On one side, you've got negative peace. Think of it like a ceasefire. The guns are silent, the active fighting has stopped, it's the absence of war. It's a short-term, essential first step. But then look at the other side, positive peace. This is a much bigger, much deeper idea. This isn't just about the absence of violence, it's about the presence of justice. It's the long-term, grinding work of tearing out the very roots of the conflict, the poverty, the injustice, the inequality that made people pick up guns in the first place.
And this is Galtung's big idea, and it's truly revolutionary. He's saying that real, lasting peace isn't just the absence of something bad like war, it's the presence of something good, like justice, fairness, and opportunity for everyone. Anything less than that, well, you're not really building peace, you're just hitting the pause button on the next conflict.
So it makes sense, right? If you have two totally different definitions of what peace is, it logically follows that you're going to have two totally different strategies for how to build it. This is where the theory gets real, where it turns into an actual plan.
And this slide shows us those two competing game plans. On one hand, you have liberal peace building. You can think of this as a kind of rapid construction project. The goal is to get in there and quickly build up the pillars of a modern state: democracy, a free market economy, a stable government. The theory is that states like this are just less likely to go to war. It's fast, but the question is it built to last? Then, on the other hand, you have sustainable peace building. This is less like construction and a whole lot more like gardening. It's the slow, patient, sometimes generation-long work of healing relationships, fostering reconciliation, and nurturing a new kind of society from the ground up, so the peace has deep roots that can't be easily torn out.
All right, so we've got the blueprints. Now let's open up the actual toolbox and see what's inside. We can group the different methods into three main schools of thought, and each one has a really different idea about who should be doing the building and how they should do it. This table lays it all out pretty clearly. First up, you have conflict management. This is the classic image, right? Diplomats in a fancy room, a very top-down approach focused on one thing: getting the leaders to sign a deal and stop the violence, fast. Then you have conflict resolution. This one goes deeper. It shifts the focus away from the elites and towards ordinary people, trying to heal the societal wounds and rebuild relationships. And finally, conflict transformation. This goes deeper still. It's not just about solving the current problem, but about fundamentally transforming the entire system that created the conflict in the first place.
Let's just stick with that last one, conflict transformation, for a minute, because this is where a theorist named John Paul Lederach introduces a really game-changing idea. He argued that you can't just drop peace in from the outside. You have to build, as he put it, an infrastructure for peace from within the society itself.
And this pyramid, this is his brilliant model for how you do that. I mean, look at this. It's basically a map of a society's power structure. At the very top, you've got your high-level politicians and generals. Down at the bottom, you've got the general population, the grassroots. But for Lederach, the real magic, the key to everything, happens right here in the middle. These are your community elders, your religious leaders, your NGO workers, your teachers. They are the essential bridge that connects the high-minded peace deals made in boardrooms to the actual reality of life on the streets. Without them, the whole thing falls apart.
Okay, so just when you think we're getting a handle on this, with these sophisticated models and thoughtful approaches, a radical new critique comes along that doesn't just question the methods, but questions the entire morality of the peace-building project itself.
And this quote is the bombshell at the heart of what's called the alternative discourse school.
Thinkers like A.B. Featherstone are basically arguing that peace building is often just a polite term for control, that it's a tool used by powerful Western nations to reshape fragile, post-conflict societies into something they can understand, something that won't threaten them, essentially a carbon copy of themselves.
So this forces us to ask some really uncomfortable questions. Is peacebuilding a noble, generous act of help? Or is it a subtle form of cultural imperialism, imposing a one-size-fits-all Western model on the entire world? This school of thought argues it's definitely the latter. They say it's not about real transformative change. It's about managing conflicts just enough to protect the interests of powerful countries, and it's often completely disconnected from what the people on the ground actually want or need.
So, after peeling back all these complex, competing, and sometimes contradictory layers, what are we supposed to take away from all this? Where does this leave us in this quest for a lasting peace?
Well, if there's one thing to take away, it's probably this. Peacebuilding is a field that's basically at war with itself. There are no simple formulas, no easy answers. It's constantly caught in this impossible bind. Do you rush in to stop the bleeding right now, even if you know the fix is just temporary? Or do you commit to the slow, painstaking, generational work of healing the wound from the inside out, knowing that more people might suffer in the short term? It's a brutal choice.
And that leaves us with one final, and maybe the most important question of all. If the critics are right, if peace-building has been this top-down project largely imposed by the West, then what's the alternative? How can we build a peace that actually works for everyone? Maybe, just maybe, the future of peace isn't about exporting our blueprints. Maybe it's about importing something we in the West have ignored for way too long: the wisdom, the knowledge, and the solutions of the very people who have to live with the consequences.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. Your support encourages me to create more content. Thank you.